Attention passionate New York Giants fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on New York Giants' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true New York Giants fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and New York Giants fans. Let's get to the news. So, folks, if you've been following the Giants this season, you already know that things haven't exactly gone according to plan. And honestly, after that home opener last night against the Kansas City Chiefs, it's hard not to feel that the situation is reaching a boiling point. The Giants, facing the reigning AFC champions, ended up with a pretty predictable result. A 22-9 loss. Predictable, yes, but also deeply concerning for a fanbase that's been waiting for some signs of progress, some signs that the franchise is moving in the right direction. And what we saw on the field last night, well, it's hard not to see it as a symptom of much bigger issues within the organization. Now, it's important to remember that a single loss, especially against a team as talented as Kansas City, doesn't automatically mean the end of the world. But when you look at the bigger picture, at the overall trajectory of the team since that remarkable 2022 season, it's impossible not to feel a sense of frustration and disappointment. Because what we've seen since then has been a steady decline, a regression that's left many fans questioning whether the Giants are truly on the right path. And honestly, after almost 3 disappointing seasons, 2025 is shaping up to be yet another chapter in a story that's filled with questions rather than answers. Let's rewind a bit. After Brian Daboll's first year as head coach, the optimism was palpable. The Giants finished 9-7-1, a record that, while not outstanding, was enough to earn Daboll NFL Coach of the Year honors. That season, the team managed to beat the Minnesota Vikings in the wild card round, and suddenly it felt like the franchise was turning a corner. Fans were excited, hopeful that the post-Dave Gettleman era was finally bringing some much-needed change. And Joe Scone, as general manager, was praised for rebuilding the roster, making smart moves, and fostering a culture of accountability. But fast forward to today, and the numbers tell a different story. Under this current regime, the Giants are sitting at an 18-30 5-1 record, almost doubling their losses compared to wins. That's a staggering statistic, almost as if the team has been treading water in the wrong direction for quite some time. And on the field, what we see is even more troubling. Since that one promising season, the product put out by the Giants has been, frankly, unacceptable. The team looks disorganized, uninspired, and lacking in the kind of foundational development that's necessary to compete consistently in the NFL. Mediocrity has become a persistent theme for the past few seasons, and last night's game is just the latest example. The main issue, and this is something many fans have been pointing out, is the complete failure of the offense. Under Brian Daboll's leadership, we've seen a team that struggles to score, especially in the red zone. The game plan last night was a perfect illustration of that. Kansas City came into the game with a clear strategy: shut down Malik Nabers, the Giants' top receiver, and force other players to beat them. And what happened? Nabers was effectively neutralized, and the Giants' offense looked about as sharp as a high school JV team trying to keep up. This isn't just a one-game problem, it's a systemic issue, because the offensive game plan was so predictable that it became almost laughable. Mike Kafka, the offensive coordinator, looked completely out of ideas once Nabers started drawing heavy coverage. The team's solution: dump it off underneath to rookie running back Cam Skatibo or take a deep shot to Nabers, which resulted in 2 terrible Russell Wilson interceptions. That's the kind of game plan that screams of a team that's not adapting, not evolving, and it all falls back on Daboll, who's supposed to be the offensive guru. But let's be honest, his track record this season, and over the past few seasons, suggests that he's been unable to turn around this failing offense. And it's not just about play calling. It's about the overall strategic approach, the game management, the ability to adjust on the fly. Those are the things that define a successful head coach, and right now, the Giants seem to be falling short on all fronts. Now, this season has been particularly tough for Daniel Jones, the quarterback, who, after signing that massive $160 million contract, was expected to lead the team back to respectability. Instead, we're seeing him start the year with a 3-0 record, which sounds great on paper, but when you look at his play, it's a stark contrast to previous seasons. Jones looks more confident, more comfortable, and frankly, more like the quarterback we all hoped he'd become. It's almost as if the change in coaching staff and system has unlocked something in him. However, this bright spot is overshadowed by the overall offensive struggles. The offensive line, which was supposed to be a strength, has been just as bad as it's been for years. That's a clear sign that the front office and coaching staff haven't done enough to improve this crucial unit. And when your offensive line is failing to protect your quarterback and open running lanes, it's almost impossible to sustain any kind of offensive rhythm. Let's talk about some of the numbers. The Giants are currently ranked 27th in scoring offense, averaging just 17.3 points per game after 3 games. That's abysmal, especially considering the talent they have on offense. And that 17-point average includes a game against Dallas, whose defense has been allowing over 30 points per game to opponents. So it's not just about facing tough defenses, it's about the Giants' inability to execute consistently to put points on the board when it matters most. Fans are growing more and more impatient, and frankly, they're losing faith in Brian Daboll's approach. After an 0-3 start, the reality is that the playoff chances are practically zero. Historically, only about 2.5% of teams starting 0-3 make the postseason, and with the brutal schedule coming up, it's hard to see the Giants turning things around in time. And the frustration in the stadium last night was palpable. Fans were booing Russell Wilson, calling for Jackson Dart, the rookie quarterback, to get a shot. That's a clear sign that the fan base is losing patience with the current regime. If Daboll truly wants to save his job, he might have to make a bold move, perhaps inserting Dart earlier than expected, even if it feels rushed. That might be the only chance left to salvage something from this season. Because, let's face it, the issues go far beyond just quarterback play. The entire organization seems to be stuck in a cycle of mediocrity, and the regime's inability to make meaningful changes has only deepened that sense of stagnation. One of the most glaring coaching mistakes last night was the situation with Graham Gano, the veteran kicker. Gano was listed as questionable with a groin injury, and considering he missed 16 games over the past 2 seasons and has been unreliable, it was a questionable decision to leave him in such a critical game. The team didn't bring in any competition for him during training camp, which left them with very limited options. And sure enough, Gano missed a huge chunk of the game, and that impacted the team's ability to execute crucial plays. Special teams mistakes like that can be game changers, and they highlight how poorly managed the roster and game day decisions have been. Then there's the issue of Andrew Thomas, the star left tackle. He only logged 25 snaps in the game, which is baffling given how important he is to the offensive line. If it was an injury management decision, that's one thing, but if not, it's a sign of how disconnected the coaching staff is from the reality of what this team needs to succeed. Without Thomas, the Giants' offense struggles even more, and it's yet another example of how the team's management and coaching are not prioritizing the critical pieces that could turn things around. And let's not forget the red zone struggles. The last red zone drive, with under 3 minutes left, was a perfect encapsulation of the Giants' offensive woes. Russell Wilson threw 2 passes sailing outside the back of the end zone, with no receivers given a real chance. The team's inability to design and execute effective red zone plays has been a constant thorn in their side for years now. That sequence in particular underscored how little creativity and planning there is around that crucial part of the field. It's hard to see any meaningful improvement when this problem persists season after season. If Daboll and his staff want to salvage what's left of their season, they need to get more creative, more aggressive, and more disciplined when they're inside the 20. So, looking at the bigger picture here, it's clear that the Giants are in a crisis, not just because of the record, but because of the organizational issues that have plagued them for over a decade. The franchise has become known for being unable to sustain success, and without drastic changes at the coaching level, that cycle will continue. The fans are fed up, the players are frustrated, and the front office seems to be stuck in a cycle of complacency. If the team doesn't act quickly, the Giants risk becoming one of the most irrelevant teams in the league, a laughingstock rather than a respected contender. Now, there's a lot of talk about whether Daboll should be fired or not, and honestly, that debate is becoming more urgent by the day. The evidence shows that the team's performance on offense has been dismal, that their game management is questionable, and that their roster decisions have not been enough to turn the tide. The question now is whether ownership will have the guts to make a bold move perhaps before the bye week and shake things up. Because the longer they wait, the more entrenched the problems become, and the more difficult it will be to salvage this season. But let's be real, it's not just about firing the head coach. It's about resetting the entire culture of the organization, bringing in fresh ideas, and investing in the right talent, especially on the offensive line and at the quarterback position. The Giants need to rebuild from the ground up, and that process starts with making tough decisions. The fans deserve better, the players deserve a better environment to succeed, and the NFL as a whole deserves to see the Giants return to their winning ways. But right now, everything feels like it's on the brink of collapse, and the future of this once proud franchise is more uncertain than ever. Pause here, just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest New York Giants news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. So what can we expect moving forward? Well, the Giants are facing a critical crossroads. They have a brutal schedule coming up, and if they don't make some significant changes, it's hard to see how they avoid a total collapse. The possibility of benching Daniel Jones and giving Jackson Dart a shot is already gaining traction among fans and analysts alike. That might be the only way to spark some spark into this offense, which has been painfully stagnant. The idea of giving the rookie quarterback a chance, even if it feels rushed, might be the only move left on the table. And honestly, if the team continues down this path, the coaching staff will be under immense pressure to justify their decisions. The mistakes are piling up, from the injury management of Gano, to the limited snaps for Andrew Thomas, to the lack of creativity in critical moments. These aren't small issues, they're systemic problems that reflect a deeper organizational failure. The Giants need a reset, a fresh start, and perhaps that starts with making bold, unpopular decisions now rather than later. The fan frustration is reaching a boiling point. Last night, you could hear the boos echoing through MetLife Stadium, and the chants for a new quarterback, "We want Dart," were loud and clear. That's a sign that the fans are losing faith that the current regime can turn things around. And let's be honest, if the Giants want to keep their fans engaged and their hopes alive, they need to act fast. The season isn't lost yet, but the window for salvaging it is closing every day. In conclusion, folks, what we're witnessing is a franchise at a crossroads. The decisions made in the coming weeks will determine whether the Giants can rise from the ashes or continue to spiral downward. The organization needs to take a hard look at the coaching staff, the roster, and their long-term vision. The clock is ticking, and if they don't act decisively, they risk becoming the laughingstock of the NFL once again. But there is still hope, even in these dark times. A spark of change, a bold move, a new direction, that's what's needed right now. And as always, we'll be here to bring you all the latest updates, analysis, and insights on the New York Giants. And now, New York Giants fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the New York Giants. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest New York Giants news.